boy. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're so kind. Welcome to the Barry Bow Show, home of America's best crime writer. We're not in our Sunshine Room studio today. We're in our annex in beautiful suburban Folcroft. It's going to be a hot one today, but it's early. We got the windows open, so there might be some ambient noises. Fuck them if you do hear some. Won't interfere with us at all. I turned 80 yesterday. And just recently, I found out who I am. All my life, I was lumped in with the baby boomers. But I knew I wasn't a boomer. I was a touch too old. You see, baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. And I was born 3 years before 1946. I have a feeling that many of you out there are baby boomers. What's that, Kat? Yeah, I know you're not a baby boomer. I believe you were born in 1988, right? Right? Oh, okay, right. Which makes you part of Gen Y, the millennials. The baby boomers came from a surge of babies born beginning in 1946, resulting from our fighting men returning home from World War II, and then getting busy. Now, my father returns home from World War II, also in 1946, but he'd already been busy. You see, the most important day in my life is Pearl Harbor Day. No, I wasn't born yet, but on that day, my mom and dad are boyfriend and girlfriend. They're already in their 30s. Maybe they'll get married one day, maybe they won't. Who knows? But then, the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, and all hell breaks loose. My mom and dad get married 24 days later, on New Year's Eve. And not long after that, my dad goes off to Army boot camp. And after boot camp, he's assigned to the Army Air Corps. And he's got orders to report to Pensacola, Florida for flight training. And then, once he completes flight training, his orders are shipping him to Europe to help defeat Hitler and the German Wehrmacht that's trying to take over the world. But his orders do not say when he'll be back from the war, or even if he'll be back from the war. So, my mom and dad make a momentous decision. They're going to try to get my mom pregnant before my dad ships out to go overseas. You see, back in those days, marriage, children, and family are very important. So, my mom packs a suitcase and heads down to Florida to keep my dad company. She stays on the base during the week, but they spend his weekend passes in a cheap motel in Wakulla Springs. Not really sure if you pronounce it Wakulla or Wakulla, but it's a tourist spot with crystal clear waters. They film a few movies there over the years. Here's 4. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Tarzan's New York Adventure, Joe Panther, Airport 77, and Night Moves. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, it's 5 movies. Getting back to my story. My mom and dad succeed. Mom gets pregnant. Then dad ships off to France near the end of 1942, or about a year after the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor. Mom moves back home with her parents in upstate PA, a tiny coal mining town, Glenline, PA. I'm born the following July and start my life with my mom, my grandmother, and my grandfather. Meanwhile, my dad's stationed outside Paris. He's a navigator on B-29 bombers, flying bombing missions for almost 3 years. Here's a couple shots when he's stationed outside Paris. Here he is playing catch. He's the taller guy wearing a tie. And here he is on one Sunday helping the priest serve communion. He's the tall guy to the left of the priest, the one with glasses. That's right, you see, religion's also important back then. Fortunately for him, and for me, my dad avoids getting shot down and makes it back home in one piece. And he and I have a very special relationship for the rest of his life. It's like we're always trying to make up for the time we lost back then. So, Getting back to my newfound demographic group, a couple months ago, Krause, a fellow elementary school classmate, junior high classmate, high school classmate, and lifelong friend, Betty Lou Krause, married name Betty Lou Krause Schwab, sent me an email. And as it works out, we belong to a special group of people born during the 16-year span between 1930 and 1946. That's the era between the end of the Great Depression and the end of World War II. And that makes our members somewhere between 77 and 93. And we're the smallest demographic group born since the early 1900s. And here's who we are. We're the last generation who climbed out of the Great Depression of 1929. We can remember the winds of war. We experienced the impact of the world at war that rattled the structure of our daily lives for years. Like I already mentioned, I don't know if my dad's ever coming home. I don't know if I'm ever going to meet him. And many of my classmates are in the same boat. They also have fathers returning from fighting and winning World War II. We're the last group to remember rationing, gas, sugar, shoes, stoves. Our parents saved tinfoil and poured fried meat fat into tin cans to reuse later. Our milk is delivered to our houses by horse-drawn milk wagons, and it's placed in the ice box, which sits out on the back porch. An ice box that's refrigerated by blocks of ice, which are delivered by, you guessed it, the Iceman. We're the last generation to grow up listening to the radio. No TV. It doesn't exist yet. The first TV show I ever saw is the Democratic National Convention 1948. That's when the Dems nominated Harry Truman. I'm 5 years old, but I don't see it at my house. I watch it at one of the neighbors, in fact, the only neighbor who owns a TV set, with my mom and other moms and kids from the neighborhood. On Saturday nights at my house, my mother invites my playmates over. We go into the den. My mom turns out the lights, and we listen to the Inner Sanctum radio show. The show's so scary that sometimes a newcomer runs out of the den and goes home crying because he or she is so scared. We don't get a TV set until I'm in second grade. We have heat. We don't have air conditioners. So we spend a lot of time outside playing. The lack of TV means we have little understanding of what's going on in the rest of the world. So we use our imagination for almost everything. We get our first telephone when I'm in the third grade, but the phone doesn't have a dial. You have to pick it up, wait for an operator, and then you tell her what number you want, and she connects you. Some people have party lines. Fortunately, we didn't. We had a private line. We don't have calculators or computers. Our word processors are typewriters that work by pounding your fingers on stiff keys. And every time you reach the end of the line, you got to swing the carriage and pull it all the way back across. And changing the ribbons a real pain in the ass. The words internet and Google don't exist. Newspapers and magazines are written for adults. But we do have comic books. Our fathers throw themselves into working hard to provide a good living for their families. Mothers are housewives who cook and clean and make sure we wash our hands and faces and brush our teeth and get to school on time. We're not neglected, and family is our main focus. We love playing by ourselves, and we love playing with our playmates. Play games like hide and seek, baby in the air, kick the can, and we make sure that we head home as soon as the street lights come on. Don't get me wrong, man, we're lucky. We're entering a world of opportunity, a world where we're welcome, a world where we enjoy ourselves, where we feel secure in what the future might hold. And yet, we never let any lights burning that we don't need. You see, our parents grew up during the Depression, and that's what they learned. And they passed that message down to us. Polio is still a crippler. We come of age during the 1950s and the 1960s. We're the only generation who can remember a time of world war and a time when our world is secure and it's full of bright promise, with almost no crime and no drugs. We grow up at the best possible time, a time when the world is getting better. More than 99% of us are retired these days, although I don't fall into that category, probably never will. And we feel privileged to have lived during the best of times. And if you already reached the ripe old age of 80, like I did yesterday, then you outlived 99% of all the other people who live in our world, which makes me and you 1%ers. Thanks, Krause. And listen, folks, if you haven't already picked up your copy of my classic outlaw biker saga, Born to Be Wild, get it now. The book's available at Amazon and most booksellers. It's a great read, and you can find it in Kindle, paper, and hardcover. So, thanks for stopping in today. Till next time. See you.